Hello. Greetings. Welcome back to the Soul Citizens. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and today is Sunday, April the 5th, 2026, and we are happy to be with you. Hope you all are doing great. Hope you guys have had a wonderful week, and for those of you who celebrate Easter, that you had a blessed Easter weekend. If you just got some rest, you're with family, and we're going to top off Easter Sunday with my two co-hosts and co-producers, the ones and the onlys. They are ones and onlys. fastcart FC and
Yeah, you don't want
SeriousFun.
another
I
one
can
of
never get
me.
my thumbs going the wrong way.
You don't want another one of me.
I don't want another way. Just one of you is enough. I agree with you
Just one of me.
wholeheartedly. How are you, my friend? You doing good?
I'm doing well, thank you. How's everybody else doing? Hope everybody having a blessed Easter and a blessed weekend. Hope everybody's
Yeah.
doing well.
Yeah. Serious? How are you, my friend?
I mean, when you say one and only, I'm not sure that's a compliment. I'm trying to figure out whether you talking
That's
about me or talking with
that's
me. But
because they broke the mold after they made you. That's why. Okay,
yeah,
you are
they
the
ran
one
and,
and
and
only.
went running. Then went running. But happy Easter holiday to everybody. This is one of the places where I get my sanity, so I'm excited to hang out with y'all today.
Oh wow! So I've got insanity on one side, insanity on the other side. I guess is today.
And we'll
But
meet in the
no.
middle and collide and explode like antimatter and matter.
Well, again, thank you guys for joining us today. We know it's a holiday for many of you and you're spending time with family, but if you're here, we appreciate you spending your Sunday evening with us. Just some real super quick shout outs to the folks we got in the house. We've got Pops in Space, the Prisoner. We have Vartano. Hey, what's up, Vartano 07 to you? Shattucky, longtime supporter of ours, is out there. Alexander, I love the way you spell that. Very cool. Hello, world. And we also have New Soul Sounds out there, as always. Attack Cat out there. Who else have we got here? I saw somebody else here. I saw Attack Cat.
Thorn, 1, 2, 3,
Thorn. Oh, yeah,
4,000.
Thorn 1, 2, 3, 4,000. I always see all the zeros. I always remember that. Voices, what's up? CC Creator is in the house. And last but not least, Shadowed Fox. Appreciate you all being here. Thank you all. We had to give shout outs to our folks who are here with us and helping us kick things off. We've got, as always, I say this every week. Vaughn, what's up? I say this every week. Let me ask you guys a question before we even kick this off. How do you feel about the information dump now? Like last year, we kind of felt like, especially because the ISCs and SCLs were impacted. How are you guys feeling about the information dump, both in relation to like email, website postings, social media postings, the ISCs, the SCLs? Are you feeling like it's got a nice balance now? A little bit too much of this and not enough of that? Whoever wants to say something, give me your thoughts.
I mean, for me, I'll say this: there was a sweet spot that this project had that I don't lament being gone, but I don't think will ever come back. And
Okay.
for me, there was almost a daily set of shows. You had Around the Verse, Reverse the Verse, Bug Smashers,
Oh,
Miller
you go
Talk,
way back.
right? Yeah, I mean that for me, that was like the everyday, broad and deep set of content. On any given day, you went pretty deep on something, right? And that was a lot. Jared admitted that was a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it took away from the devs leaning into their work to a certain extent,
Mm-hmm.
to give us that insight. But I think that was the sweet spot for me in terms of when somebody says, "Well, what was being with Star Citizen like?" For me, I would talk about that era as a
Really?
backer,
Wow.
right? Of being in the project and seeing open development, right?
Okay.
Since then, it is different, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Okay.
Changes that we've gotten, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
The dosages that we're getting, I get why we're getting them. Just from a material depth of content standpoint, I don't think it'll ever be like that, like it was. But it's not bad now, in my view. Fast Cart, what are your thoughts?
We'll get into this later on, more later on. But I was happy until this week, April Fool's Day. That one made me no. But I think there's more of a balance, especially compared to last year, where it was too light. like when they were doing 5 shows a week, Lore Master, Citizen of the Stars, Bugmasters, inside the ISC and SCL. Or well, back then they had Reverse the Verse, and what was it? What was it? The other one,
Around the
Reverse.
verse.
Around the
Around the
Verse. I
verse and
couldn't think of
reverse
it.
the verse.
Yeah, right. I think that was too much on their end because that probably took up a lot of production. I mean, for us it was great, but I mean that took up a lot of work for them. So
10
I
for the
mean,
chairman, all that.
yeah, and all that. So I think we have a better balance, even though it's like once a week or maybe once every other week.
Mhm.
At least, compared to last year it's much better in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. Mistro,
Griff, what do you think?
19K.
Oh,
How are
sorry.
you? Good to have you. Oh yeah, no problem. Um, I'm going to quote the Bible. There's a time and a season for everything. And that's kind of how I look at it. The early days, to your point, Sirius, that it was other shows that you didn't even talk about, right? There was Ship Shape, there was Glitch
Okay.
Witch. I mean, we can go down the list of all
What's
these
glitch?
little mini
Yeah.
shows. We had the
Wing,
the
Wingman.
MVP. We had the MVP stuff. But Wingman was a whole show into itself. But I'm saying there were all these other snippets that they used to do too, right? And sometimes a whole show was a combination of 5 or 6 of those things, right? And
Right.
to be honest with you, there was never 1 hour of a topic on Attack of Around the Verse, right? It was a bunch of segments that were put together into one show. Ben would get up and maybe read something for a little bit, then they'd go to Sandy and then they interview. There was all these pieces of things where now there's more of a consistency of topic, and that consistency might be anywhere from 8 minutes to 12 minutes or whatever. And I think back then it was appropriate for what was then, because I don't think they could have sat around and talked about any particular thing too much for an hour. I mean, Bug Smashers was it? I mean, think about what we used to get excited about. We got excited about watching bugs being fixed, right? Or we got excited about. Remember, we even
I
got
didn't. Some
excited.
of y'all did.
No, what was the show that they used to do where they would show like the bug in the game, like it was like the bug of the week
Which
thing?
glitch? Which glitch?
Was it Witch
Yeah.
Glitch?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was which glitch.
Yeah, we were excited about watching that, huh? Something we scream
Yeah, I
about,
was.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, so my
I mean, especially if it was a bug you had experience.
right.
Especially that.
or
They,
avoid,
they
try to
on
avoid
it.
it.
They on it.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm saying I think at that time those shows were appropriate. If we had that stuff now, we'd be eh. Um, I think that the other thing is that I think we've gotten spoiled. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that we've been so used to getting so much information. And when we get a period, like it doesn't have to be like last year. Like, you know how we get that dry season before CitizenCon and people go ape, right? They go ape, right? From August through October, folks start hollering about there's no information, right? But in reality, we get information year round. I mean, we get email newsletters, we get postings on the website, social media puts out stuff, we get the sideshows, we get a ton more information than most game developers put out. I feel like where they are right now is comfortable for where they are in the development right now. I agree with you, Sirius. There's some shows that I really miss and I liked a lot that they used to do. But when I look at where they are right now, like when I look at the stuff that we're going to review today, like the Squadron 42 newsletter, when I see the monthly report, when I see the patch reports that come out, the patch things that we get now. We used to get patch reports like once every whatever. Now, you get patch stuff all. We even see Evocati patch notes. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff now that when you stack it all together, it's a lot. And I may not be like I'm interested in all those things, but I'm just saying I think that they have a really interesting balance of information that comes out weekly. Because whenever we get to this segment of the show and I try to figure out what are we going to talk about this week, I actually have too much stuff to talk about just for what happens within the week, let alone the ISC or the SCL topic. Were you going to say FC?
That's one of them good problems. But go
Yeah,
ahead,
yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I do miss out of all the stuff that we just talked about, I miss the year-round roadmap when they used to go out to a whole year instead of just one patch. But I understand why they took that away.
Yeah, we did that to ourselves. As a
Yeah,
community.
exactly. I was going to try to say it, but
Yeah,
so we did
it's
that
an
to ourselves,
interesting.
and I missed that because I mean I was one of the people who could handle it. I was like, they changed their mind, or did something priority change?
Mhm.
I understand other people couldn't handle it for whatever reason.
I don't know. There's another side of it that I think I thought about later. I didn't think about it when it happened. But I think the other side of it was I used to remember, like, what did people do when they used to look at the roadmap when it was the year-long roadmap? And one of the things I think that a lot of players, even myself, that people did was they started to project the direction of the game based on that roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
And when something got taken away, it affected the idea of, I've been looking at this, like, if, for example, remember the Connie Taurus was like on the roadmap, like on and off like 4 different times, right?
Right.
So if I'm a Taurus owner and I see that the Taurus is finally going to happen, one of the first things I think in my head is, when I get my Taurus, I'm going to, right? And so you take away my Taurus, you also took away my I'm going to. You know what I mean? Even though there might be some other ships that could do the same thing, but because it was my Taurus and I had already been projecting where I wanted to do in the game, and if it got removed, it didn't make a difference if it was removed because it was going to get bigger or better or more features. It was just the fact that it was gone. And I was already kind of projecting that this is what I'm going to do when I get my Taurus. And I think we've all done that. We see a ship come out. When the so-and-so comes out, I'm going to, and then when that gets snatched away, it really did have an effect on us. I mean, it's an interesting thing to me. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just saying I think that there were some players who there was just tremendous disappointment, you know.
Well, and two quick things. One is, if you are a avid reader of the text-filled monthly reports, you over a 3-month period, you're getting a sort of version of the roadmap anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes you have to decipher a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They'll say we're working on 6 unnamed ships, and they'll start describing, and then over 3 months, you see the way in which they describe those 3. That tells you a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's purposeful by them.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, I came to Star Citizen. I came to Star Citizen in 2013 at the same time that I was deep into Elite Dangerous, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just to talk to you, just to say, when I talk about or lament or examine or criticize the discourse that we get Cloud Imperium Games, it's really only in relationship to itself, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there were times when Frontier Developments on the Elite side would go communications dark for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like literally like a year, 14, 15 months, where
Wow.
nobody knew what was happening with the project and they could not get an answer, right? And so relative to what some other companies do, there hasn't been a bad season, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about a time to laugh and a time to cry right out of the Bible. We were crying over it on the Elite side. So, it really, I'm only talking relative to its own standard that it set, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
CIG is in a class of its own.
Yeah.
And the other thing, Griffith's point, the other side of that is that now people are talking about, oh, I like this ship, and oh, this ship is going to be so great once I get it in my hangar and once I fly it out, and then later on, CID make an adjustment to the ship, and I don't know what they nerf it, and people don't learn their lesson by like how many times have this happened, and they still don't expect. They still act like they don't know what to expect. So that's the other side too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the nerf. I get what you're saying about the nerf. I still think it has to do with they've pictured what it is they want to do. You know what I mean? Like, remember,
and
like
they will keep balancing it until it gets to do what they want it to do.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying, but the player has already assigned, like,
I was saying CIG had the picture too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. No. To your point. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's the difference. CIG is going to do that, right? It's going to happen. And I see what fastcart is saying. It's like, we should realize that when these ships come out, they're, even if you don't want to call it a nerf, right? Because I mean, sometimes it turns the other way around, right? When the ships get boosted up again, right? Little things happen. But I think that again, you get it. And you don't, to a certain degree, you don't care if it's not balanced yet. You got it. You know what I mean? And so you start talking about balancing. It's like, what's wrong with it? It's fine the way it was. Anyway, I just wanted to ask you guys that because, again, as we prepare these shows each week, I usually think that there's not going to be a lot to talk about. And now I'm finding out there's almost too much to talk about. And we're going to talk about it because we've been talking too long. I didn't mean to take that much time on that question. So let's go ahead and jump into it with my good friends here. First thing up this week on Wednesday, another interesting drop by CIG. They put out the Squadron 42 newsletter. There has been a bit of trepidation, I think. I think that a lot of people in Star Citizen community have PTSD because they are in a place of just not. They are keeping. Oh God, how can I describe it? It's like Squadron 42 is coming out. And it's like
Nobody wants to get behind that. Because
nobody wants to get behind it. You know what I mean? And even though we're
I was gonna say real quickly, hope for the best and expect the worst.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about we're getting more information, hard stuff, talking about Squadron consistently now, and people are still nervous. You know what I mean? I'm not saying yay or nay. I'm just, it's interesting to see. Yeah. You don't hear anybody cheerleading. You don't hear anybody out there saying, Squadron 2026. Everybody knows it's supposed to be Squadron 2026, but we have not seen it. So my question to you guys was these elements that CIG brought up, how are you feeling about them? Do you feel that CIG these are indicators to say, hey, it's coming? And if they are not, are they things that will bite CIG later if it doesn't come out? Are they throwing gas on something if it doesn't come out?
I'll go first. I think this is like, I don't know if this is the term. I'm not an economist, but this for like pre-marketing, like marketing before marketing. So they're trying to ramp up slowly. And yes, that was at the very bottom, and people are noticing that. It still said 2026, and I'm like, yeah, of course it says. I'm like, of course it said 2026. It's supposed to come out 2026, and people are like, oh, they haven't delayed it yet. But this is. They still have 8 months. This is April. This is the 4th month of the year, so they still have 8 months to go before it really not before they don't meet expectations and releases later. But I mean, this is like they said that way back, in December or whatever, that it's going to be a slow marketing push, and then, but when the gears really get going,
not a slow one, not a slow one, a short one.
Short one, yeah. So short one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I don't know if this is considered part of the shortness or just the pre-marketing. So that's how it feels for me.
Serious? Any thoughts?
I so many thoughts. At this point, when I think about Squadron 42, I see myself as Daniel Craig's James Bond in the Casino Royale across from Le Chiffre, the villain. And I'm just I pushed all my chips in. All my chips are in. I am all in on 2026. I got bets down on 2026. I am all in on 2026. And so I'm one of the people who can talk about 2026, but it's more like a hysteria. It's more like a fanaticism, right? It's less about any inside knowledge, which I don't have, or any confidence in terms of a history of the information, which we can have, right? It is I could not imagine, and a lot of people can imagine that CI could be as inconsistent as to say all this stuff even 4 months into 2026, keep pushing 2026, and then eventually be like, psych, nope, pull the rug out from it. They can imagine that, and I can't. I can't imagine that. I feel like the brand would suffer enormously, right? That being said, the truth is, if the game is materially not ready and they push it back to early 2027, that's better than putting out a materially not ready game in 2026, no matter how much you've committed to 20.
Yeah, we had this conversation last night. But I just want to, before I get to that point, I just want to say to SeriousFun, you remember what happened to Daniel Craig later on in the movie, don't you? the torture scene. I'm not sure if you want
where
to.
he had to sit on the chair and then get hit in
Yeah,
the balls.
exactly. I don't
Yeah.
think you want
Well,
to
that's what it'll
identify
feel
with
like
that.
if this game don't come out in 2026. I'll tell you that right now.
No, but
I
I
will
had
feel
a,
like that.
I had a debate last night about whether it's better for Squadron 42 to come out late, bug free, or to release on time with bugs. I mean, in the best world, obviously, it'll be both. It'll be bug free and on time. But for me, it's like I think it's better to come out on time with some bugs rather than to push back.
It depends on the bugs, right? Almost no game comes out bug free, right?
At
So
least
it
not these
depends.
days. They used to.
Yeah, you used to have to get it on a cartridge or a CD-ROM. It
Exactly.
had to be right, right? But today, no game comes out completely bug free. The question is, will there be any game breaking bugs? That can't happen, right? There cannot be game breaking bugs. And if there are no game breaking bugs, but there's a little small stuff, the game needs to come out, right?
Plus, they
Mm.
have to release this year because of the investment. They want their money that they
Well,
invested back.
everything can be renegotiated. That I'm not trying to manage. What I'm trying to manage is, you know, for me as an individual, we get things wrong as human beings. And, if I say to you like, something's going to happen and it doesn't happen, uh, I've lost a lot of credibility, maybe almost all of my credibility. But if you give me another chance and then I say something's going to happen, it has to happen. I can't then again turn around and say, nah, I said this thing, but it's not the case, right? It'd be one
Mm.
thing if all the way back to the Citizen Con in Manchester, if they finished that hour-long Squadron 42 video with "coming soon," right? If all these newsletters just said "coming soon," right? Then they would have left themselves the flexibility
Mm-hmm.
of 2026 or early 2027, right? But they finished that Squadron 42 video, that hour-long video, with 2026. They stamped it at the end of the video. Bam, 2026. They put a sound effect on the 2026,
They did.
right?
Yeah.
And then they put it up on YouTube. And then at every
Mm-hmm.
bottom of every newsletter, launches
Mm-hmm.
2026, right? So for me, you have to come out in 2026. You have already told people a couple of times,
Couple of
that
times.
you had a certain year and you just didn't meet that year. I don't think you can do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially not after all this time. It was 10 years. So yeah.
Yeah. I think both of you guys are right. Pops came in last week and asked me about it. He's like, Griff, he said, is something up? Because I haven't heard anybody talking about this. The Squadron 42. What's going on? Is it coming out or not coming out? And I said, no, Pops, it's coming out. Folks are just nervous about talking about it. That's pretty much what it is. Like I said, some folks got PTSD, and it's understandable. Because the idea of it's kind of like when something is finally going to happen, you be looking for it. Then when it finally happens, it's actually going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like when you're going to graduate, oh, can't wait till graduation comes. Can't wait till graduation comes. When it's time for graduation, it's like, oh man, graduation is actually here. There's the possibility.
And then even after you graduate, you will have dreams about having not graduated. You
Right,
didn't get
right.
Yeah.
Cyberwolf makes a great point. Yeah, people don't want to jinx it. I think that might be more true than not.
Well, I
that's
think
a fair point.
Yeah, I think that Ganj, thank you so much for that resub.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us tonight. I do feel first of all, serious. We had these conversations. People asked a long time ago what were our feelings, and we agreed that we believe it's going to come out in 2026. And I think that there's another indicator. Now, some people will not think this is a good indicator, but I think it's a decent indicator. Not necessarily 100%, but I would put this at 85 to 90%. In the past, we know that Chris would put out dates with best intention, and they would miss those dates. And instead of it coming out at this point, it might come out 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later. But eventually, something would happen. And then there was a thing where Chris got up a couple times and said, they told me not to say any dates or else I will get into trouble. He has said that several times, where he has stopped himself from saying something. And we know that Disco has been preaching the don't ask when and all this other stuff. But now you get the point of them affirming 2026 publicly, and not as like spitting it out accidentally, but with intention in the marketing, in Chris's start, as you mentioned, Sirius, when we were in the UK. We're seeing this commitment to this date. And I think from what I understand, people talked about when you have a AAA game, polishing can take anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years, a year to 2 years time. You know, don't know what else is going on behind the scenes. I honestly think we've underestimated CIG a little bit, and I'm not talking about in relation to them hitting a target. I'm saying I think there's more to the release of Squadron than what meets the eye, and I'm not talking about gameplay even. I'm saying I think that they have to be very. Their marketing people so far, whether people like them or not, I've said this before, the marketing people be on point when it comes to pushing a product. And those trailers and commercials do it right off the bat. And sometimes, oh, maybe marketing's running the company. What I will say is that if marketing doesn't think that this game is going to come out at the right time or the right way, I think that by now, to your point, Sirius, they could have just said coming soon.
Right.
But the window, we're approaching month number. We're in the first end of the first. We're in the second quarter now. So there's not a lot of time, right? And if they're going to back out, most companies don't wait till 6 months to back out on a project. They're going to give themselves a year's time out beforehand. But
speaking of marketing, we know that CIG is doing something that we probably have not seen them do ever, if ever, if not in a long time, which is to be on their website promoting another event because they're attending the event. Right. So if you go to CIG's website, you'll see that they're promoting the Level Up Expo this month in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And now Level Up ain't promoting CIG. Right. So if you go to the Level Up Expo website, you don't see CIG as a guest or anything. But CIG is promoting Level Up along with a bunch of sponsors.
Yeah.
And the only thing this is the only thing that is making me shift when I think this, to Fastcart's earlier point, short marketing effort from that Chris Roberts talked about, when I think it's going to happen. Right.
Yeah.
My plan B is that it starts at Level Up and finishes at Invictus, which is the military event of the year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I originally was thinking it would start at Invictus and run till CitizenCon.
Yeah.
Right. But for them to go to Level Up and be promoting Level Up is just of note to me. It makes me think maybe the short marketing window will be from April through Invictus.
Yeah.
Super intense, flood the market, and then drop the game in May. That would be interesting as well.
Yeah.
I want to make a quick point.
I have a date, but I don't know if I want to say it because I don't want anybody choking me later on. But I do have a date.
No, we won't choke you.
It is.
I'm
not worried about you guys. I'm worried about the people in chat. I don't want them choking.
They will choke me first.
They'll grab me. They'll grab me at the next CitizenCon when they see me and say, "Griff."
No, I just want to say real quick that you mentioned the stamp at the end of 2024 presentation. I think that's partly to just light a fire underneath themselves, underneath their own studios to get this done. We got to get cracking. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, it could have been that, but that would have been the less mature CIG of the past, in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
You're setting a fire. Right. You're setting a fire and setting yourself. If you look at the history of companies that have driven their people because of deadlines and dates, like Anthem and a lot of other games and Cyberpunk, it does not work out well. It's not a good psychological game. You want your people on board and for them to feel confident that they can deliver more than the pressure cooker thing, because that can get you hung putting a date out there. And we've seen historically that has not worked out well, whether it's because of investors or Christmas or the consoles coming out. It's not a good strategy. But I see what you're saying, Fastcart, how people could do something like that. I just think that They realize they need to get it out. I want to hit something real quick, and we need to move on to the next topic. And that's something that Essential said. Essential said, I'm one of those people who want the PU done, but he's also wants them to get Squadron out. But he hopes that when Squadron comes out, there is a focus on the PU. And I think, to your point, Essential, Chris Roberts' original kickoff, when you read what he says he wants the PU to be in a good place so that when people finish playing Squadron, the persistent universe is where they can come. So I think that it is important. And I've said this before. I think it's important that and this is my numbers, so I'm just saying my numbers. To me, the PU needs to be within a year of Squadron 42. It needs to be that thing that he called marketable, playable, that people can come back to reliably. I don't think that the PU can be 2-3 years later after that, because you're going to lose people. And if people have a bad experience going into the PU, you already know what that's like, right? People come to the PU and, they had a great experience or good experience in Squadron 42. And then they come to the PU expecting that same level of game, and it's not there. You're going to lose them. I think that would be detrimental to them. But, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. There are smarter people there than I at CIG, I think. I hope. I'm sure. Okay. Let's hit the next topic. Fastcart, you talked about this a little bit earlier, so we're just going to jump right into it for April 1st. Let's see.
The Hull C is our premium heavy freighter. It's designed for those players who are really into cargo and they want to sort of carry massive amounts of freight, that big risk-reward, profit margin gameplay that you get with cargo.
It's just like Jack Burton says, it's all in the reflexes.
Sure, that has nothing to do with this. The Hull A is then the bottom of the whole series, designed for carrying still a large amount of cargo for its actual overall size, but it doesn't quite have the capacity to take the biggest containers, so you're introducing yourself to hauling missions. If you're familiar with the alphabet, you have the A, the C, and that leads us nicely to the Hull B.
So one of the main issues with the original Hull B concept was it had the cargo kind of in this kind of cross-shaped layout, which stopped it from landing, and that was kind of one of the key features that we wanted to push with the Hull B.
So we went back to the drawing board, looked at all different configurations, and ultimately we'd settled on a sort of diagonal grid arrangement. So we're pleased to announce the Hull B. So when we were designing the Hull B, like most other ships, we looked to the real world for inspiration, and I think the actual B itself was a pretty compelling argument. They can carry a huge amount of cargo on their backs.
What we decided to do is really extend the cargo grids out. They make them super accessible for the players. Not overly complicated at all with the whole cargo grid rotating.
My favourite thing about the Hull B is its little antennas. Don't know what they do, they're just cool things. The wings work surprisingly well with physics, and they actually give a little bit of uplift as well, just from the sheer forces involved from moving them around. Unfortunately, it does come at a little bit of cost over the network, so hopefully people won't bring too many of these together in the same area.
We were so excited by the success that we felt we had with the Hull B that we decided to really challenge the team and kind of see what else they could come up with using the whole series.
So the next one we looked at was the Hull G, which stands for Hull Ground. We went back and revisited an old unused Caterpillar concept as the basis. The biggest problem with cargo today is just how quickly you can get from A to B. We really wanted to slow that process down and let players savour every moment of it.
One thing we kind of slightly overlooked with the concept is we just kind of forgot to include the cargo grids. So, if you do need to move cargo, you can just tow it behind.
And that's what's important. Player agency.
Why does it have guns on it?
Let's just move on.
A lot of our ships in Star Citizen, they're kind of a little bit underweight.
So I've been with the company now for just over 11 years, and my mission this entire time has been to introduce a ship to the game that truly punches above its weight class. And I think finally, with the introduction of the Hull M
for military,
I've succeeded in that. It has the railgun from the Idris chin-mounted, of course, and then it has also 2 beam weapons from the Idris on its flanks, and then numerous other heavy weapons scattered throughout the ship. Of course, being a whole series, it has to expand.
We went to design, we said to him, we want some bomb racks and some missile racks, and we said, how many do you want? And the answer was just, yes.
It expands its arsenal by deploying even more bombs, missiles, torpedoes from the spindles itself. At the expense of cargo, because who needs cargo when you've got all these guns?
So how do you power all this?
Well, it turns out all that talk about engineering and careful power management, we can just do whatever we want, so it's fine. And the biggest weapon of all is the file size for the actual weapons in the DataForge binaries. If you try and data mine them, it's just going to crash and show you Jared's face.
Just play the game, nerds.
Next up is the Hull O, which stands for 404 and is a collaboration with Origin on their 404 project. You can't see it because it's invisible. The Hull P, which is simply an excuse to bring back Port Olisar.
Next up, we want to see if we can make a ship with no designer at all. And this brings us to the Hull X.
Which is extra long.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think this ship is going to have a real problem turning, if I'm honest.
It just keeps going.
We definitely forgot about retros,
Everyone's favourite Banu.
and definitely maybe should have added more maps.
Oh, there's more.
Well, it's back, so we get to watch it again.
Do we mention it's really long?
It is very long. It's got a lot of cargo.
Okay.
How many more of these have we got?
Just like 2. Is the joke tired yet?
I think a few ago. And you should know I've not actually seen any of these beforehand. So this is the Hull WTF.
See, it uses Xi'an technology.
Misk do collaborate with Jian.
Yeah, so it like transforms. See?
It's a nice Reliant throwback in there as well.
And see, and this is why you needed to transform.
Yeah. Emergent gameplay.
For this highly probable situation.
Okay, I think that's it. I think the joke is well and truly over now, Jared. I'm done.
We still have one more. See, it's Z.
Zed.
Zed? Z for...
Zed.
No, Z for zombies. Not Zedbees. Zombies.
No, we're not doing this. This is quite possibly the dumbest thing Jared's asked me to do so far. Yeah, Hull B coming next week. Cheers.
Hey, you marketing artists, stop being silly and finish the game. I can't believe this fake episode is longer than a real one.
So, come back and meet the real Hull B next week. Sorry for wasting your time. Not really.
So, Triggerfish, April 1, fastcart came out and warned everybody like at midnight. Don't fall for any sucker moves. And CIG puts out a video saying the whole B the next day, and folks eagerly turned it on.
You know what happened?
Mm-hmm.
They put it out at 11 a.m. Typically,
Mm-hmm.
they do stuff at noon. Well, probably because of daylight saving. That's probably why they put it out an hour ahead of time. So my thinking was they were putting out the real stuff at early and doing the triggerfish later. Little did I know.
Yeah, exactly. Serious, how about you? Your thoughts on let me ask you this. How do you guys feel? Some of the people I love the way this ended, because Disco's closeout was basically saying what people in the community were probably saying, right? Y'all quit messing around and finish the game, right? And stuff like that. Serious, how do you feel about CIG when they do these bits? Entertaining,
Yeah,
waste time.
I mean, for me, mostly it's ha ha hell. I'm I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
But they also have a history here, right?
Yeah.
This is nothing new. This is April Fools is so in the consciousness of the company that they put it into the lore of the future universe. Triggerfish is in the lore.
Mm-hmm.
So, in our family, my wife is the April Fool's trickster. She hates this stuff any other time of the year, but on this day, she comes for everybody's head with this stuff.
Okay.
So, it is a thing in the world. It's not my thing, but I don't get mad at the fact that it happens, right? I tend to look at it and say that's silly and keep moving.
Okay.
I know this other thing is they're going to give you that those antennas are coming sooner or later.
I hope not.
They are coming sooner or later to the verse.
I mean, for me, I have the original whole B in my hangar. I've melted it and brought it back a couple of times, but it's the original 2015 whole B in my hangar. So I've been waiting 11 years for this. So I was anticipating it, and I had just woken up and I started watching, so I wasn't. I had forgotten my own warning from previous night before going to bed. So as soon as I heard John Cruz say B, I was like, oh no, don't do this. And then I saw the antenna coming out, and I did the whole Luke Skywalker. No.
So let me ask you a question. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
But I feel like they should have had the whole K, like a Hulk, because it could have been green, and it could have been tied into Stella Fortuna.
That's why they keep you out of the meeting room, Fastcart.
But, I feel like it was a real missed opportunity.
Yeah, there's another reason. You ain't in the meeting room.
That joke did not age well from last night, I'm telling you now. It was okay last night, but I thought it was going to have a little bit more breath today, but it just still was, yeah. Yeah, I know, stop him. I know, Nihilus. I'm trying. Okay, so let me ask this question to both of you. What we saw on screen, though, how much of what we saw do you think did reflect the whole B design, the cab area? Some people said in the chat they loved that yellow paint that was on it. Do you think that we did see a modified version of what we will see next week?
Yes.
And if so, what elements on there did you see? Like, there were the engines, there was the cab area, there was even the wing area, the rotation of the cargo containers. Do you think that some of that was just kind of exaggerated, and we're going to see that same ship but in its true state next week, or do you think we're going to see something a little different?
I think it was exaggerated, but I mean, I don't know if you remember, but they did the Origin 404, and they had the whole Origin 400i, but it was just invisible. So I think they did the same thing here. You just couldn't see it. But as far as the B part, yes, I think it was exaggerated. I'm hoping that the cockpit looks similar, more in line with Mist, because I like the way the cockpit looked. It had plenty of the view seemed better than typical Mist ship.
Let me go back to this here. Hold on. I'm going to go back to it because they do show, and this design, is this a mixture of, where I thought this was going to have more of a mixture of the design of what we see in the Hull A, this looks like this might be leaning more towards Starlancer.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. Can you guys tell? What do you think?
Yeah, it's more like a Starlancer, but and also that's the front. I think the back of it would probably be more in line with how it would
Well,
look too.
I'm referring to the front right now, though. I'm saying
The
there's
front,
the
okay.
front.
I think,
What do you
I
guys
think
think?
that's the front of the whole B.
Okay.
I think
So
that's
you
the
think
front
that's
of the whole
legit?
B.
That part you're saying is
Yeah.
legit, you think? Okay.
I think the wings.
Until the antennas come out.
No,
Yeah.
I know. No. Yeah. No, we're talking
I
about the
think
parts
the
that we think are
wings-
legit.
I think the wings are more. I think the layout of the cargo is more like the layout of the cargo on the Invisible Origin 404 shots that we see.
Mm.
Okay.
I don't
So
think this is how the cargo will lay out.
Okay, so it is interesting though that this does allow the cargo to rotate 180 degrees. There's a loading from underneath, and then once
Yeah,
that's loaded,
It might be. This might be it.
that loading
might be it.
operation there could be
Yeah.
legit.
Yeah, and this can land with the cargo like that, which is one of the things they said they modified the whole B to be able to do.
Okay.
Is to land fully loaded on a surface. So
Yeah.
it might in fact be the whole B. I don't own the ship. Fastcart has been paying attention to the whole B far longer than I have. But my to your point about how they finished the video with a little bit of self-awareness about how the community is, it would not surprise me if the vast majority of these assets were from the artists who had finished the whole B a while ago and were able to play with the assets in this Triggerfish video.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from the whole B, my favorite was the Port Olisar tribute. I kind of want that in game. That's me though.
So what do you think of that cockpit there?
Yeah, I think that's the whole B.
I like the view from the inside. Like it's pretty surround and it's pretty wide.
This seems like it's a mixture of the whole A and Starlancer series.
Yeah.
It's a broader, to your point, Fastcart, it's a broader view, and if that bottom part is somewhat transparent, like it is on the whole A, then that gives a great view. But we'll have to see.
Well, and I think you say it the way you say it in terms of the ship implementation, but I think it's early MISC design versus later MISC design.
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely.
In the Starlancer, I think they've evolved the cockpit, given the complaints that people were having about the cockpits in the MISC series, whether it's Freelancer or Hull series. They use the Starlancer to take a step in a better direction with view of the cockpit.
Okay.
So it would not surprise me if the whole B didn't have some of those assets.
Someone in chat said the antenna is going to be a $20 skin.
Yeah, I saw that.
It 100% will be in the game before the end. I mean, I got decades for my theory to come true, but this game will not. The servers will not close on Star Citizen before those antennas are in the game. They will be in the game.
I definitely think there'll be a yellow skin, but I don't know about the antennas.
Yeah, the yellow looks good. It does. It's a good paint. Togi will be happy because Togi loves yellow, and it looks really nice. We're gonna probably go over a few minutes, guys, just so you know, because we are running a little bit behind. So I'm just gonna hit on these next two subjects, and guys, we're gonna put the link in for the monthly report for those of you who may not had a chance to take a look at the monthly report for March. Fastcart series. Let me go to series first. Is there anything in particular on the monthly report that stood out for you?
Yeah, there was a couple things in the monthly report that I paid attention to. One was the fact that we all are sure that we're getting Gatak Raylan at Alien Week.
Okay.
And yet, the Gatak Raylan, where does it say? It says...
it's on ships.
Yeah, it says the ship team progressed with the Gatak Raylan, preparing it for its gray box gate review at the end of March. That gray box feels a little late to have a ship drop in terms of Alien Week. Because it's really gray box, Lodge 0, and then final art. And Jared has reminded us that final art can actually set a project back a little bit.
Yeah.
And to really lock it down.
Okay. But
right?
just for people knowing the date is, that would March. Alien Week is like the first or second week of June. So
it's
that's
June.
About almost 3 months.
Yeah. But what it says to me is that there's a team where he talked about what was the language that Benoit used around strike teams or strike forces.
Right.
There is a Gatak Raylan strike force. Right?
Yo Meg. Yo Meg sending over the love of 79 viewers. Thank you so much,
Hey,
Meg.
Raiders.
Love you. Welcome, Raiders,
Thank
to
you.
these Soul Citizens. Hope you guys had a great time with our dear friend Yo Meg. We're going to send a shout out for Meg Fastcart. Make sure we throw some love out for her. You guys make sure you all follow Yo Meg. She's a part of the Soul Citizens team, and she's a wonderful streamer. So thank you, Meg. We appreciate that. We'll take good care of your people. We're talking about This Week in Star Citizen, folks. We just got here. Our show today is going to be talking about Star Engine. In just a few minutes, we're going to jump into that. So you're coming in at a perfect time. But we're talking about the monthly report right now. Serious, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's all I wanted to note was that
Okay.
For them to hit Alien Week means that there's a dedicated team. There's not a team that's doing a bunch of stuff. There's a team that's doing the Gatak Raylan.
Okay. Yeah. FC, how about you? Anything stick out?
The SeriousFun kind of hit it on it. The art ship, they talk about the Raylan, and they talk about the whole B being larger. They talk about the Grey Cat UTV, Drake Ironclad, the Ironclad Assault, Command Module being a larger. Talk about the RSI Galaxy, which is supposed to be coming out in the IAE, and 5 unannounced ships. So yeah, there's a lot in this in regard to ships, and that's just ships. This is a beefy monthly report.
Yeah, sorry. There was one other thing that I wanted to make sure I mentioned on the show today, and that's under core gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because the first thing under core gameplay, they say the team spent part of March progressing hacking.
Yes.
With the devs polishing items, improving the tutorial of hacking, and ensuring the hacking UI is always correctly aligned to the player. That combined with the fact that we get a hacking device visual in the Squadron 42 newsletter tells me hacking's coming sooner rather than later to the PU.
Yeah. That's good stuff. If I had to kind of through some things, I'll do some predictions at the very end of this. The creature content team was great. I'm still looking for stuff to happen with creatures in this game. The game still feels empty to me when I go out into the world of life. We're getting flora, but I want to see more fauna. I want to see more stuff that's moving around. I want to be aware of, things that I have to worry about and maybe creatures I don't have to worry about. So they are talking about introducing some thing with star paws. They're also talking about introducing, if I remember, some type of creatures that are like snakes. So we'll get snakes on the plane maybe is coming up in the future as well. But I want to see some other things roaming the world. That's just something I would love to see to make the worlds feel like they're alive. In the area of ships, we know you were talking about ships earlier, Fastcart. I'm wondering, my predictions for this year is there were 3 ships that they showed artwork for in particular. One of them was the Ironclad. I'm going to predict the Ironclad's going to show up at Invictus. I might be a little premature on that, but I'm going to really predict that we're going to see it. Now, remember how before they put the Polaris out, but we didn't get the Polaris? It might be that. But I still think that the Ironclad is going to be the debut, mostly because DefenseCon is being pushed this year. And Drake
I think that's... Yeah, let's go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm saying DefenseCon is being pushed this year, which we have not had a push for. And the last time that happened, DefenseCon, they introduced the cutter, if I'm remembering correctly. And so I would love to see that the Ironclad be the push for this year. I think that the Gatak Raylan will come out for Alien Week. I think they are going to get it out in time. And the one I'm going to really put my neck out on, really, really put my neck out on, is that the Kraken's going to come at IAE this year. That's going to be a real push to see if they get that out this year. But that's the one I'm sticking my head on the chopping block for.
Yeah,
okay?
I'm putting opinion.
Yeah, I know, and I could be wrong. If it's not this year, we know it'll be next year. But something tells me they're going to freak people out this year at IAE. Because they talked about the fact that this thing is.
You might as well give us your Squadron 42 date.
Nah. If you want to know my Squadron 42 date, I'm going to put it on Dig That because Dig That's at the same time frame that I believe. So you all check out Dig That's video where he talks about what's the best time for Squadron to come out, and I'm in total agreement with Dig That's video. Okay. Dig That's got a great video out assessing this year.
But I didn't mean to cut you off.
He put Dig That's head on the block.
But I agree with Dick. He said exactly what I would have said. So, we'll see. G Qubit says that DefenseCon 2957. Ooh, yeah. It would. I mean, hey, it would make sense, right, to put it out at that time. But it's just interesting. I don't know if when are they looking to do the Galaxy?
They said that.
Okay.
Yeah, they said that, yeah.
So
That's
okay. Then you know what? I forgot about the Galaxy. So if the Galaxy is IAE, then yeah, I would agree with you. GQ I'll take back what I said because I forgot about the Galaxy because I just knew they needed to do something major league. So yes, I would agree. Kraken May next year, Galaxy this year. And I still think they're going to sneak the freaking what's that hacking ship? I think they're going to sneak that in.
Legionnaire.
The Legionnaire. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting to see them sneak that in because that was the one ship that was on the board from 2 years ago that they didn't get to put out because they were looking for hacking gameplay to get done. So that's another sleeper ship that I think that they may put out. So, all right, we got to expedite because we were running behind big time. What's the next thing we're supposed to be talking about? Let's skip the newsletter. Let's go into this, right? That sneak peek. Do I really have to say what it is, Fastcart? Or do you want to say what it is?
I'll let SeriousFun say what it is.
Serious? He's passing the buck to you.
Well, the sneak peek says built for heavy landings.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's a MISC ship, so I assume it's the hull B.
You sure it's not the whole E? I'm just teasing.
No, it might be.
I'm just teasing. It's not the whole E isn't going to land like that. So now I agree. Yeah, hull B. And it looks like they're, progressing pretty good here. We'll have to see. Just seeing the externals doesn't judge where they are with the ship. But they only do this when they're getting close to something coming out. Right?
Right.
So
or next week.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, we know the video's coming out next week. So yeah, hull B. That's an easy peasy lemon squeezy on that one. Last piece we want to talk about. This is like kind of for those of you who've been around for a little while. Those of you who remember Paul Jones. Paul Jones was the ship art director. I can't remember his full title. Do you remember what it was, Sirius? What his complete title was, or a Fastcart?
I think it was art director.
Yeah, he was basically what John Crew is now. And Paul went to go work for Ubisoft a few years ago. And Paul's been around a long, long time. Since the very beginnings of Star Citizen, he's been around. And we wished him the very best when he left to go work at Ubisoft. And Paul just recently posted this week that he's going to be leaving Ubisoft and moving back to Manchester. Now, he did not say that he was going to go work for CIG. He lives in Manchester, or he lived in Manchester previously. So
he
just
didn't say
moving
he's
back
going to
home.
work for back. He didn't say he's going to come back to CIG yet.
Yeah.
Manchester.
Yeah. But my point is that we still want to wish him the very best. He keeps up with the project, and we've been keeping up with him. A lot of people have been following his feed. He put out a book. He put out a really good book, actually, about game design. And Paul's has been a really great person. So we do want to continue to wish him the very best. And we'll see. Maybe we'll see him pop up. Maybe we'll run into him at a Citizen Con. Who knows, since he'll be back in Manchester. But that was just an interesting note for those people who follow a lot of the devs in the community. We wanted to bring that up. So let's get ready to take our break. We are getting ready to get into our topic for today in just a few minutes, which is we're going to be taking a look at the Star Engine video. Many of you guys remember that video from 2024. Is that right? 2024? Yeah. And what we're going to do today is go through that video, but we are going to kind of do a little report card, and we're going to stop and go as we go. We're not going to just go through it and we may stop. And so if Fastcart says stop here or Sirius says stop, we're going to stop. We're going to talk about things that we see in the game, make note of them, and then talk about the state of those items and see how CIG is doing with developing Star Engine and the game elements that they have shown us that they want to put in for the persistent universe. So we're going to take a 1-minute commercial break, and then we're going to take a 4-minute break after that to get something to drink. You guys can get some snacks, go to the bathroom, and when we come back, we're going to jump right into it. So stick around. We'll see you guys in just a couple of minutes.